in the darkest of nights. Through valleys and storms, your light ignites my life. Love notes from the heavens calling out to me. Every word a treasure setting my spirit free. With faith in my heart and love full of light, I'll walk this path, guided by your sight.
Hey everyone, this is Melissa with Love Notes from God, and I'm joined again by my friend Daniel. Hey Daniel, how you doing?
Doing good, Melissa. How are you?
Doing awesome. So again, we have done a video about The Chosen on Catch the Buzz of the time that Daniel has worked on the set of The Chosen, seasons 4, 5, 6, and he's going on to 7, and we'll have some more videos about that in the future, and the opportunities where we have this show that is helping people to come and see Christ and is bringing down a lot of these walls of division amongst believers and non-believers and people of different faiths. And then we just did another video about how he has been working on the temples, but he has been working on currently the Salt Lake Temple. And I just felt like that was such a big thing that we needed to do one just specifically about his time working on the Salt Lake Temple. So Daniel, if you want to briefly say he's from Utah in Cedar
Yes.
City, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
And so you briefly tell about how you started working on the temples for those that may have missed that, and then if you go ahead and talk about your working at the Salt Lake Temple.
Absolutely. So I had a good friend who I met over Christmas break. So I was in between working for The Chosen season 4 and 5, and just asked him what he'd been up to, and he told me he'd been working on temples and was currently going to go start working on the Salt Lake Visitor Center. Now, of course, everyone, I don't know of anyone who wouldn't be like, yeah, can I come work on the temple? But of course, I'm a little bit, as these videos have shown, I can be a little bit persistent in my uh, fanhood of something, I guess. And so I just kept talking to him for about 2 months, and finally he connected me with his boss, and his boss was like, "Well, yeah, we'll give you a shot." So, uh, of course, worked on a couple of temples, but the first project we got to work on was the downtown visitor center for the Salt Lake Temple, and kind of thought that that was going to be it. Now, obviously, down the visitor center itself is incredible, and actually, I think it's going to be opening up here in the next month or so for
Oh, I
people
didn't know
to. Yeah,
that.
it's now that's a rumor on site, but all the missionaries are
Mm.
saying that, all the people, so I'm pretty sure that's pretty good. Hopefully sometime in May is a for sure on that. So but they did a life-size replica of 5 rooms of the temple. So you can actually
Mm.
walk through a recommend desk, a baptistry, an endowment room, a celestial room, and a sealing room. They're not specific to the Salt Lake Temple as far as their design, but they're a little bit more generic. But of course, just working on those in and of itself was such a treat because, of course, that that isn't going to be dedicated in the same way a temple is. So in some ways, it wasn't quite as special. But there was also this knowledge that this is probably going to be the temple that is visited the most. There's close to I think it's between 3 to 5 million people visit downtown Salt Lake every year, specifically Temple Square. And so the pressure for us was a little bit more intense as far as what we expected out of ourselves, and but it turned out so well, and I can only say that the Lord was so merciful to us because it came out so beautiful. But so of course we complete on that, and there's so much just with the visitor center itself. So I would highly recommend, if you're in Utah, to go check it out sometime next month if you have time. But we thought we were going to be done. Um, of course, they have crews working on the entire side of the temple, and we weren't really part of that project, and so we are like, okay, well, we'll just sign off and say appreciate you. We got pulled into working on the church administration building, so we got to work on Elder Holland's at the time. Elder Holland was still with us, and we got to work on his office because they were expanding it and changing it. and that was also incredible. And got to meet Elder Cook for a few minutes just because
Oh
his
wow.
office was just down from where we were working, and so he'd every now and then pop by and just be like, "Guys, it looks so good, man! This is so incredible," or tell me about this or whatever. And having an apostle, and of course Elder Cook, he has this like English, golf cap. I don't know what they're
Oh
called,
yes,
but
I've seen that.
but he just has that he wears, and he's just one of the most nice, genuine people. I'm just like, wow, you are incredible. And so, but we got to work on that, and then that project was over, and we thought we were going to be done. Well, about a year ago, now my boss was, we were in between. We just finished up working on some temples, and our next project wasn't going to start for a while, so we were all like, well, we'll work on this school and this bank. And we were just kind of taking projects. Well, he got a call that uh the mill that provides all the mill work for the temple is they're the same mill that hires him to do other temples. They said, "Hey, we just lost one of the crews for the Salt Lake Temple. Would you
Oh.
guys be willing to come in and supplement them? Just, we wouldn't hire you as a full crew, but we'll have you guys come in and just like." And so of course all of us are like, "Yes, pick me. I'll go." And so, a bunch of us were able to go. And for the last about, I think it's been about, it was since, what was it, October or August of this past year, we've just been able to just kind of contribute our 5 loaves and 2 fishes, as
Yeah.
Dallas would say.
Yeah.
And it's been amazing. We haven't been able to work. So there's kind of two sections of the temple. There's the historic portion, which of course got the foundation redone, and all this stuff, and the woodworking and everything going on in there is incredible. And so much of it is this original that they've either tried to just touch up or make as perfect as possible. And then there's the new portion that they've actually dug out between the temple and the conference center. They dug out basically everything between there, and they put in a 3-story extension of the temple. So the baptistry
Is that like underground then?
underground, yeah.
Wow.
So down about 3 stories. The baptistry, there's going to be 2 fonts.
Mhm.
In the baptistry is in there. The all the confirmation rooms, much of the waiting rooms and the administration, and basically it's all kind of the expanded portion of the temple. I mean, that temple is now almost twice as big as any other temple, obviously, because of just how massive that is. But so we've been working in that kind of underground portion. So it's funny because my friend will be like, we show up before the sun comes up, especially during the winter, and then we come out when the sun's gone down. So he's like, it's like we're working in a prison, you know? He's like, it's the most beautiful, gorgeous prison that you could be, but it feels like a prison. And so
Heavenly prison.
I know the heavenly prison. I'm like, lock me up now. I'll be good. Um, but it has been absolutely incredible. The number of times that we've had just situations where you're talking to other, the grounds workers, or just you pass people, or you just have people come up and say thank you. You'll be in the elevator and you'll talk to somebody who works in the administration building or at the conference center, and they're just like asking about details, and you can just tell how hungry people are for this temple, because it is such a iconic landmark in both the church's history, but also for what the church is today, right? um, when they shut down the temple, I know, at least for me, I felt a little, in some ways I was like, well, isn't this temple supposed to stand until the millennium? Like,
Mhm.
are we, is it not? Is it not good enough? And getting to work on it, and we actually, I don't know if this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but like we gotta happen upon the section that leads to the foundation. So we gotta walk over there and get a glimpse of what the foundation looks like. And um and it was incredible to see just how much modern engineering goes into glorifying the temple now. How the preparation doesn't diminish anything that they did in building it originally. That all the work that we done now is trying to highlight just how much they sacrificed and how hard they worked to, and how much they contributed. I mean, they got the interior work of the temple done in 1 year, and it's taken us at least three to get just the interior stuff done. And of course, we're working on a much bigger area than they were at the time. Um, but it is incredible what the faith of those pioneers and how the Lord really consecrated their efforts. And now I feel like he's we are doing our best to consecrate ours and to make that temple just as beautiful as it possibly can be. And I am astounded by all the work that's gone into it. So yeah.
Well, I'm hoping I can get Thomas's attention. I'm like, oh, I'm wanting to make sure the audio is recording properly. I had one where it didn't record, and I'm just feeling like I should make sure that's recording because I'd be this time I would be devastated. I would be okay, but Thomas, the
Gotcha.
audio is recording properly, right? Okay, all right. Yeah,
Amazing.
but it was one that needed to be re-recorded, so it was okay. But this one, I was like, not this one. I'd be sad. Okay,
Gotcha.
I'd be super sad.
No worries.
Anyways, well, I know we visited we went to the Salt Lake Fanex,
Yeah.
and I'd gone like 3 years, and I was like, I'm right here by the temple. I should be going to the temple. And so I'm glad that we planned this time to come down early and went to Temple Square, went to the church history building, went to the family search building, and we were at a hotel like right next, the one the church has bought now.
Oh
They
yeah.
tore down part of it. Do you happen to know what's going on with that? It looks like the hotel is there, but the parking garage got torn down. Maybe I'm not sure. I thought they were tearing the
So
whole thing down.
yeah, I'm not entirely sure on that project. I did hear that they are trying to expand their parking area. So I don't know though if they're planning on rebuilding the parking garage or if they are planning on building or just making it just into a street level parking. I know that's kind of been a popular thing for the church in downtown, is to have a good amount of space so that people aren't, don't feel so crowded, or they can have room for the number of people coming in, because it it has been, from what I understand, and again, this is more just hearsay, but from what I understand, they do have issues at time with parking and just people wanting to be there, because of course everyone wants to come in. And they've planned the open house to be 6 months for the Salt Lake Temple, just to allow everyone who wants to come through. So it's gonna be a madhouse, but I think they'll make it work. So yeah.
Yeah, well, and I was impressed that so we were staying at the hotel that was right there next to the
Mhm.
family history, the church, no, family history center. And I was impressed to see the cranes and stuff working at night with the lights on and everything. It was kind of beautiful and scary at the same time. I was like, wow, they're really working so hard on this temple and the grounds. I was like, they're working like 24, like not exactly 7 days a week, but
Right.
24 hours, and I was watching. It was frustrating to have the roads kind of blocked off and sidewalks blocked off. And I was like, I'm just trying to get some, because I'm not from there. So I was like, I'm just trying to get to where I'm getting, trying to breathe and not
Right.
get too worked up over it. But yeah, so that impressed me. And I know at the time they had told me that even despite how many workers were there, that nobody had gotten hurt or like very
Nope.
hurt or something. And I know they said there was like a couple hundred workers that had been there. I have no idea how many. Do you have any idea how many workers are there?
I know over the course of the project it's been in the hundreds, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure the exact number. But yeah, there's been so many. And obviously there's 4 or 5 projects going on in the different sections. There's the outside, there's, the various, the historic portion, the other smaller portions, and the visitor center accesses, and the above ground, the lobbies above ground. And yeah, it's funny how quickly you can lose track of how many people are actually working on it downtown, but there's quite a few. So
Well, and do you know, is there going to be a crisis statue still in the in the visitor center? Is there going to be a
Yes.
crisis just oh good. Cuz
Yes.
I know I think hadn't they taken that out for a time and they put it in like the Joseph Smith Memorial Building or something like that?
Yes.
And I
Yes,
was
they
like,
did.
"Oh no." It was
Right.
my favorite most memorable thing as a kid to walk up there, and
Yes.
so I was like, "Oh, if they don't have that." So
I'm very happy to report that that is right front and center in the, I believe, the east portion of the visitor center. There's two above ground portions, then you go down underneath and it connects underground. So it's
so the
yeah.
visitor center is bigger now? Is it bigger?
Oh, yes, it is
Okay.
much bigger, and uh, obviously there's so many tunnels and everything connecting everything to everything. But yeah, as far as the visitor center itself, it is. I don't know if I would say significantly bigger because the last one was very big, but this one is extensively underground as well as above ground. So yeah,
Oh,
it's
interesting.
it's pretty cool. So
Yeah. And
yeah,
any questions anybody has, feel free to put them in the comments below for
please do.
us to see what Daniel can tell us. So, anyways,
Something.
and I'll definitely be dropping little bits of information if we find out other little things as things progress along that are going on. So, and then of course, so what has there been any like really inspiring situations that you have found yourself in there working on the Salt Lake Temple, or where you were like, you know, feeling that people had worked on there before, or, just anything or stories that you had heard about it, anything that would jumps out at you as inspiring for you?
Yeah. So I have two that really come to mind. The first is um so I said in one of the other videos that I had grown up going to the St. George Temple, and we always would watch while we were waiting to go do baptisms Mountain of the Lord, which is all about the building of the Salt Lake Temple. And my dad actually got to participate in making that film. He was an
Oh
extra,
wow.
and you can actually see him. We that's our claim to fame growing up. You could pause it at just the right spot and see him, you know, for 2 seconds. And I remember bragging about that to people and just being like, "Oh, this is so cool." And then one of the very first week I was there working on the visitor center, they put the Angel Moroni back up. And of course, my boss was like, "Everyone, get above ground right now! You've got to watch this." So of course, we all run up there, and of course, they just started raising it, and I got to watch them place it on top. And it was this moment of both connecting me to this thing I'd watched my dad in, growing up, and then I got to think about what he was representing. My dad, and of course, everyone in that film was the pioneers who were singing the spirit of God like a fire is burning, and got to watch as this golden angel was placed atop this building and proclaiming to the world that the restoration had happened, and that we now have the ordinances. And it was just, I started crying, of course. I It's not hard for me to weep, but I felt so strongly in that moment that we were doing something important. And then the other experience I had was actually just a few weeks ago. One of the guys who's been working on temples, I think the number of temples he's worked on is in the 40 something. Like, this man has traveled the world and worked on temples, and he found out that none of us were allowed to go into the historic portion, which is where he's working. So he got permission to bring all of us into the historic portion, um, and just give us a quick tour. Before work started in the morning, we all showed up before 6 a.m. just so we could catch a glimpse. And he took us to almost every room. Of course, the one room we
Wow.
couldn't go was the Holy of Holies.
Mhm.
They have that place sectioned off with about 40 cameras pointing out the door. So if you're caught trying to sneak into there, you're kicked off site immediately. Like, I'm pretty sure the lightning would come in and strike you before you got in. Um, but just walking in there and getting to see, he pointed out how much of the woodworking was original.
Mhm.
Um, or what they had to replace, but what they were able to reuse. He said there was boards that we'd pull off that had initials carved into it,
Oh,
uh,
cool.
of these different people who just, put in so much work and cuts and things that we're like, well, we have a hard time doing this with our power tools, and they had like, like hand saws and chisels, and
Hmm.
the amount of the dedication to detail in that temple just to me was like, do I even put even remotely that much attention into my own life? Like, I don't know if I do. And in some ways, that was another call to repentance for me of like, I really need to up my game, not just in my woodworking skills, which
Yeah.
obviously those could those definitely need to keep improving, but just in the kind of person I am, do I have that kind of dedication to the Lord? um and so by the end of the tour, I just had this profound sense of gratitude for the sacrifice that was made for that temple to be up as quickly as it was, for it to be as beautiful as it was, because I know my parents were sealed there, and I just had this sense of urgency in some ways that, we really, if I can just get to a point where I'm close to putting in that much effort into my own life, then I think it will be okay. So yeah.
Well, and so you met Elder Cook. Is there anybody else that you were surprised that you ended up coming across and meeting?
um yes, there was one other. I got to see several of the others, but didn't really get to interact with them. But there was at one point we were all sitting in the garage waiting for the truck to bring in our supplies for the
Mhm.
week. And I had just sat against one of the pillars and then closed my eyes for a second because I was like, okay, we have a second to breathe. And then my boss kicks me and says, "Hello, Elder Kieran." And I was like, "Ah, what the?" And so, of course, I jump up, and he doesn't come over and shake our hands because it looks like he's kind of in a hurry. But he's over at his car, and he's like, "Hello, brothers, how are you?" In his lovely English accent that everyone envies. And I'm just like, "Oh my goodness!" And he's like, "We're like, this was August, and so we were like, you got the month of July off." And he's like, "Yeah, we got some time to spend with our families." He's like, "Gentlemen, thank you for what you do." And I'm like, "Well, thank you for what you do." I'm like, "Why are you looking at me?" And then he was like, "Well, it is such a blessing to do the Lord's work with you." And that was just, I am still to this day like, just love that man so much because he is just a genuine disciple of Christ, and you can just feel it when you get to interact with him. So yeah.
Well, I know 70 that just came to our state conference. He said that he had spent a couple days with Elder Kieran, and he was like, "My face was hurting. I was trying to keep up with smiling like he does. Like the guy's just happy all the time. He really is."
Oh my, I can see it. Yes, yes. So absolutely, absolutely,
So thank you again. And would you like to like maybe bear a little testimony in quick closing? I mean, it feels like you kind of have, but
absolutely, absolutely. So I have definitely had my struggles, especially in the last few years. I've had my own struggles, and what I'm realizing is that the Lord can use you in the midst of your struggle, in the midst of your own crises, the times where you feel that you may not be good enough to do His work. Just realize that if you have desires to serve God, you are called to the work. If you spend more time worrying about how He would like to see you serve, and less about how you want it to look, because obviously there are times, and looking at my experiences, I know that it is, I'm in awe. I'm like, pinch me. I'm gonna wake up and realize that, it's been a dream. But it really has been so incredible to serve. But at the end of the day, the Lord is going to use you in the capacity you have now. So as Dallas always says, it's not about the 5,000, it's about the loaves and fish, and giving yourself to the Lord, and He can make your small effort count in the way it needs to.
well,
So
thank you, Daniel, for your bravery and your efforts and your consistency on continuing to work and helping to show everybody too that it's like, we're all we get the opportunity to do something amazing, but we got to just keep doing it and give it to the Lord and have faith. And we have some pictures and videos that we have not shared yet from when we went and saw the Salt Lake Temple, like I talked about. So I'll be putting that in another video that I put out for people to see, because I've just been holding on to those for a couple years. I don't know why. But anyways, thank you so much again for meeting and sharing with us. Thank everybody for watching. And from Love Notes from God, keep looking for those love notes that God shows us big and small every day of how much he loves and cares for us. And I know he loves you. And thanks, everybody. Thanks, Daniel. And we'll see you later. Have a good night.
Absolutely.
Your notes of love, they fill the air, reminding me always that you are there. Love notes from the heavens calling out to me. Every word a treasure, setting my spirit free. With faith in my heart and love full of light, I'll walk this path, guided by your sight. Forever I'll cherish these notes from above, in the arms of sweet faith, enveloped in love.